All right, so hey guys, Graham here. I've got obviously Phil sitting right beside me.
G'day team, how are you?
So we're just waiting for everyone to get logged on. We've got a big one today, which is all good. So hang tight, team, and we'll be kicking on very shortly.
If we have any of you guys there on there, just type your name in. We wouldn't mind just seeing who's online with us at this stage. People will be coming on shortly. We've got, I can see we've got Robbie and Shane and Brad and Chris. So if you guys are on there, just write a comment, guys. I'd like to see you guys there.
All right, so we've got some really sort of exciting stuff to go through today. And for those who are new to the webinars that we host, we love for your interaction, feedback, questions, because really without your feedback and without the understanding, we can't guide it in the best way possible. So we'll have some obviously Q&A at the very end, but feel free to just fire through, team, as much as you can. Hey, Robbie, thanks, mate, for dropping that line.
Hey, Robbie, just let us know, mate. Can you hear us very well there? Is the audio working good for you, mate?
So we've got a few other guys kicking through. Hey, Craig, good to see you, mate, or at least chat to you via the web. So it's going to be great.
G'day, guys. Yeah, good. We've got Chris there. See you, mate. Good job.
Good to see our lovely heads. So obviously we're sitting in our program director's office here. So Robbie, I've still got a response for you. I've got quite a few good little tips from that email you sent through, mate. So expect a response once we finish the webinar, mate, about a couple of tips there. So can't wait for that. Thanks, Craig, for the audio, mate. Audio's okay, which is good. You can never tell with technology. Sometimes it plays up on you. It's meant to make life easy, but sometimes not always the case.
Hey, while we're waiting, guys, for everyone to log in, since we are talking about growing your instructors, finding your instructors and all that sort of stuff, maybe you guys can just send a quick little note here or comment on maybe your biggest pain point or where you are, whether you have enough people to pick, you just can't get them past a certain level, whatever it may be. So if you have an issue or a thought that you want us to address during this webinar, just write it down in the comments and we'll be do our best to get through them.
Hey, great to see you got a couple extras here that have joined us. I'd hope I pronounced your name right. Is it Yoke? We've got Brad, first webinar, Brad, which is great. So Brad, just to catch you up, mate, we love for some feedback and questions, as Phil pointed out. So the more interactive we can make this, the more value you guys are going to get from it. So just as while we're waiting for everyone else, guys, you know, with TIMA and what we do is we really want to just give great content to our fellow martial artists, because for us, we've seen some great success. We're actually just chatting to our office manager today, and we opened our third school just over 12 months ago, probably close to the 15-month mark, and we're actually nearly about to crack 300 active members in that school. So what we're about to share with you is stuff that we're actually doing. And again, all the podcasts that we sort of produce, and again, the blogs, is all about you know, real world stuff that we're going through, the pains that we face on a daily basis. But at the same token too, it's really important for us to get your challenges that you face, so we can definitely direct our podcasts, our webinars, and definitely the blogs that we write towards that stuff. So it gives you guys some great content.
Cool. We've got some already some great little comments coming through, which we'll be able to address very, very easy. Some people not being able to get buy-in in becoming an instructor, I suppose, putting their whole heart and soul in it. We've definitely addressed those issues in our journey. And Craig, you've got some issues there with some younger instructors with enthusiasm and their body language. Well, as they say, enthusiasm is caught, not taught. So we're going to need to be able to show them that, obviously you do that sort of stuff, but you know, their second and third person in chain. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But there are things you can do to teach enthusiasm as well. So that's important to remember. The quote is enthusiasm is caught, not taught. In actual fact, there are some teachings around enthusiasm as well.
Yeah, look, I think just to answer your sort of question there, Chris, you know, buy-in from people, as Phil pointed out, we lost some great staff because we didn't have a really clear pathway as an instructor or how they could progress. Equally, we didn't really have in the early days a clear outline of what they needed to do to get to that next level. And think of it as a martial artist. You know, you have definitely a pretty clear outline of what it takes to be a beginner right through to that sort of master level. Well, the same needs to happen in your instructor team and your staff plan, I guess. It needs to be very clear from what happens if they want to be a volunteer right through to what happens if they want to run and manage maybe multiple schools and be an area manager. So they're the things we're going to share with you today, which is really cool too, guys.
We've still got a lot of new people rocking in the webinar, so feel free to leave a comment, guys, as we're talking about. Just give us a shout out, let us know that you're there, and if you have any comments or issues or problems or things that you want us to address while in this webinar about finding and growing instructors, we'd love to hear your pain points so we can help you with your solutions.
Guys, throughout the day, we want to obviously see you guys as well too. So we've done this in our webinars previous. We want you to take a nice little happy snap of yourself sitting in front of your computer or wherever or whatever device you've got going on and throw it on our Facebook page, guys. So the TIMA.com.au, sort of obviously that's our web address. Check out the new website. We've had a revamp there, but obviously just go to Facebook, guys, and obviously the Institute of Martial Arts. Chuck your lovely head on there, and we'll, you know, we've got some special things that we'd love to do for the guys who actually commit and go forward with that. So right back at you, team.
Cool. A couple of minutes away, guys. We'll kick off just after 10:30. I've just seen a couple of new guys come in and register on the webinar, so some late starters, which is cool. So I'll wait for them to get on, and then we'll kick off, which will be cool. Can you have a bit of a think about too? Maybe write down. I hope you've got a pen and paper, because there might be some things we just say that might tweak your interest or, you know, spark a thought. So don't forget to get your pen and paper. And for you guys who are registered in here, you will get a replay. So maybe you want to share this with your husband, wife, or team so they can get a bit of an idea, because I think it's important that if you do have a martial arts school, you should have a sort of like a leadership team or your managers or your higher level instructors to be involved in this sort of thing. And that's one way that you can get buy-in, which we talked about, is to get buy-in from your instructors, as well as to involve them in all these things as well.
Definitely. It's a benefit for them to actually see and hear the questions, because they may have some questions or pains that from an owner perspective, we don't share the same challenges they may face as an instructor or being on the front line, so to speak. So they may have a couple of queries that they may want to sort of, you know, put forward, which you may have just in your own mind had already resolved those issues, but it's all good. So Brad, yes, we do have Black Belt Club. Okay, so for us, it's about the first. You get an opportunity to be part of that. There's a couple of different ways that students will get those opportunities, and usually it's in around probably about the 8-month mark that they get an opportunity to come on board. Anywhere between 8 months and onwards, we tend not to obviously give it out willy-nilly. And for us, it's definitely on attitude. But also too, some of the students may decide, hey, look, I'm really keen. I want to show that my instructors, I really want to be part of Black Belt Club. Therefore, they actually write a letter why they'd like to become a Black Belt Club member and what would it do for them and how would it change them as a person. So it almost, they're submitting an application form. Now, obviously, that doesn't automatically give them access, but it certainly sparks for the instructors an opportunity to go, look, now I've got my eagle eyes out and I'm going to keep an eye on you twice as much. So, yeah, definitely Black Belt Club. We even have, after Black Belt, we have Masters Club as well too. And that's just a way for our elite, I guess, black belts and beyond, just to be part of that like-minded group that have different challenges, different events, different fun things that they get to do as well too, both seniors and also juniors.
Yeah, cool. Hey, in actual fact, you'll see in the back here, if I just move myself out of the way, this being our sales office is where we come in and do our program directing and talk about the programs. And the back here, you'll see over here we have, you know, white, you know, some information on it, and then over here we have our Black Belt Club. Right there above my hand, we have our Black Belt Club. So we definitely plant the seed early, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in the webinar. Is about planting the seed early, because people want to see a little bit more structure, I suppose, or where they can be and what they want to do. And especially when you look around and the floor, there's a difference in uniform, so people are going to ask the questions. So rather than them wondering what's going on or why they have this, you want to try and give them as much content, much information about what you're doing, so the experience is like, wow, this is unbelievable.
Look, just you know, going back to it, we've had some great experiences. We've been doing this well over, oh goodness, 20 years. Hey, John, good to see you chime in, mate. But well over 20 years of experience as a professional martial arts instructors, and we've messed up plenty of times, absolutely messed up. But I like to put it down as I wouldn't call it a failure. There's a great little sort of acronym that you guys might want to just write down on your sheet of paper, FAIL, and it's first attempt in learning. So obviously it's not a failure, it's definitely a lesson learnt there. But again, if you don't have clarity for students and instructors and staff, they will simply get despondent. And they may be so close to making that transition to the next position, but they didn't know how far away it was. And therefore, the grass is greener and maybe got dragged off to a different career or just lost enthusiasm to help out. So it's really important, team, as an instructor or as a mentor, and you have a new team coming on board, be very, very clear with what you want and where you're heading.
Cool. It's good to see a few more guys come in. Jonathan, Christian, a few other guys who we may or may not have mentioned. I think you're all there. If you haven't put a comment in yet, please do, so we know that you're awake and you're conscious before we get started. But we'll get started in about 1 minute on the actual presentation. We'll remove our lovely faces from the screen and pull up the slideshow. Okay, so let's get cracking.
So bear with us, team. I know that, as we said, technology is one of those things. So it's just getting it so it's the best for you guys so you can see it, and it obviously all looks the part. Steve, good to see you chimed in, and Kevin, great to see you've got there. Just back at you guys a little bit. How many people do you have actually sitting with you? I know there's a couple of guys that are just singular doing themselves, or I've got a couple of guys who've actually got 3 or 4 or 5 people sitting around them as well too. So shout it out, guys. Give us a number, whether you're the one-man band or you've got your entire team there listening in.
We do it.
Yep.
All right, cool, guys. Just before we get started, I just want to make sure that you guys can see our presentation. So just send through a comment saying, yes, I can see it. It should be a photo of some of our instructors and just how to find and grow your world-class instructor team. So just give us a comment, mate, because the guys, so I can just make sure that you guys can all view what we've got to offer here.
Cool. So, again, we've got a couple of you guys just solo yourselves, which is all good. Christian, you got 2 of you there, which is great. All right. Shane just jumped in. Awesome. Great to have you on board, Shane. So good to see you, mate. And feel free to chime in and shout out as many questions as you like. Okay. Brilliant. So we've got a couple of guys who have got a few of their team involved, which is all good. Now, just while we're just getting the screen organised, you'll notice here that there's a couple of pictures that we have put up here that feels so nicely collated in this webinar. Now, what this does is it actually has, although it looks all the same, we actually have 3 sort of separate groups. We have one on the very far left, which is all the sort of junior guys. That's out of one of our locations, that's just them developing. So these guys are level 1, which we'll discuss with you guys soon enough. Then you'll see the middle photo, the army there. They're all of our paid instructors that we have that on a quarterly basis must come and train together. So these guys are, a different breed in themselves, which is good. So the guys far left are all volunteers. Guys in the middle are all paid instructors. And we have the guys on the very far left. This is something we just completed recently, and this is our instructor university for the adults. So you will see that everybody is visually the same color. And the reason for that is blue's our branding color. But as Phil pointed out earlier in this, and for those guys who weren't on board, having your instructors who look visually different, regardless of their belt rank, gives them that authority or that ability to help in class and not be judged. If you can probably get a good look at some of those pictures, you'll see some are blue belts, some are orange belts, some are green, some are black. But as a whole, they look all the same, and unity is key. All right.
All right, gang. Well, we're ready to rock and roll. So this is basically how we, Graham, myself, and our managers find and grow our world-class instructor team. And we don't say those words lightly, world-class, because really that's what we're trying to promote and let these guys become the best that they can be, whether they want to be an instructor full-time, manage a school, own a school, or just increase their communication skills. You know, it's all about being the best that they can be, which martial arts provides. But I think instructor training just gives them that extra cut above the rest. So first off, finding your instructors. So I know we've had a lot of heartache before, really sort of having the light bulb moments of finding instructors, and it usually comes from the pain of getting sick or wanting to go on holidays and you got nobody to fill the spot.
Look, there's a couple of things here though too, where years ago we were always looking at the upper end of the belt categories, and you know, I definitely need to remind you guys, and this is something we'll discuss very shortly here, is about where you start looking, or at who do you start looking, because finding your instructor sometimes come in ways that you may never have considered before. And if you have a preconception that they need to be a higher rank and they need to be a phenomenal practitioner, well, that's sort of gone a yesteryear, because regardless of who they are, we all have a role to play depending on, you know, ability levels, skill levels, whatever else. So I can't wait to share with you those sort of findings as we go.
All right, so the first mindset or thing you're going to need to do is about finding instructors on hiring on attitude and not skill. Sort of touching on what Graham mentioned there, rather than always looking at your highest ranks, black belts, because you know what? If you've only noticed them when they're a black belt, well, chances are they're not a right fit. It's too late. So as the picture says there, excellence is not a skill, it is an attitude. You know, you can train and teach people the art of martial arts, doesn't really matter, but you know, that enthusiasm, that the attitude, the personality of that person, that there is the golden nugget that you need to find. So that's one of the main important things that you will learn, is that once you start opening your mind on just hiring on attitude, you will start opening up the doors to more and more possible candidates that could help, whether it be just helping in class to hold pads or to possibly be a full-time instructor. You never know.
Oh yeah. Now going to the very next one, this is sort of I guess it really relates back a little bit to both of what Phil just said before, hiring on attitude, but cast a wide net. Recently, we ran a adult instructor university, and what I did was I opened up the entire program to anyone from a beginner, that is a white belt, right up to the advanced students. And we actually found that a lot of people who took up the opportunity to do the program, and it was a 3-month course, we actually found that majority were students who are probably about 6 months worth of experience. Now, you think, how do I actually end up getting someone with only 6 months martial arts experience to be able to teach in a class, but also make sure that I'm maintaining that standard? See, the thing is, the guys who I had join in, they all have a role to play. Now, for example, they may not be of a rank yet to help in classes, but what a great person to have during your beginner class when people are walking in the door. They're there just to say hello, shake their hand, make people feel welcome before class. And over the years of their, you know, months, the next months of them developing as a martial artist, as they grow in their skills, they also have an opportunity to grow in their responsibility on what they can do around your school. So again, we really wanted to make sure that we had a really wow experience when people are coming to our schools. And it's not just customer service, it's the customer experience. So how nice would it be to have someone there to hold the door open, welcome you in, ask you how your day was. That isn't just the main instructor, it's just a friendly face. And that's where I say cast a wide net. Don't just limit yourself to thinking, well, I should only really be looking at, the people who've been 2 or 3 years worth of martial arts experience. Going on that as well too is, there's a program we'll talk to a little bit later on about pad pals. Now, we've all, as an instructor, had that uneven number in class where you're doing a drill and the instructor or the qualified assistant is stuck helping one of the beginner guys because there's not enough people to basically partner off. So how good would it be to have a volunteer who is maybe not necessarily skilled to be able to help and lead a class, but has a great ability to be in there and just help out as an extra partner. We call them pad pals, which you guys will sort of discover a little bit later on. So, you know, there's definitely a role for someone to play in your school. It's just deciding what it is you want them to do. And obviously empowering them so they've got the tools and skills, but can also grow with that as well too.
All right, cool. Another key important factor that we want to be able to do is plant the seed early. You know, as Graham mentioned, that we do allow lower belt levels to do instructor training, but we take this to another level. So Graham's actually probably the pro at this. He's like the Pied Piper, and he's walking around. And you know, as soon as he sees an attitude or, you know, a personality type that may have some sort of growth within this industry, he's always putting that hand on the shoulder and saying, "Hey, mate, have you ever thought about being an instructor?" And it's those moments there that spark the idea, that light the light globe up, and they think within themselves, "You know what? I never have until now." It's sort of like the parent sitting and watching their child do martial arts, and all it takes is an instructor to say, "You know what? You should do martial arts." And they go, "You know, I've been waiting for someone to ask." That's the type of things. Don't wait for people to come to you, because they don't know if they've got the skills or the abilities or the personality type. And sometimes it just takes that hand on the shoulder and say, "Hey man, have you ever thought about being an instructor? You know what? You'd be really good with the little kids, or you'd be great as an adult instructor," whatever it may be. So that's key. Is that's the sort of casting the wide net, hiring an attitude, planting the seed early. All sort of is one type of process. It's not putting the sight on a particular person. It's going, all right, let's look at my school as a whole and seeing, without belt level, if there was no belts, who would I really want? Who's got the personality? Who can be personable to my students and possible new clients?
Look, just going on that, I've got a great story of just recently, and we had two sort of, I guess, dark horses that sort of stood out for us. One is 64, and the other one is 65. Now, they're just grandparents of some of the students here. They do train themselves in our day classes. Obviously, they're only able to do certain things. But what I did is, and Phil was also part to this, we actually went up and just said, "Hey guys, I think you've just got such a great attitude and a great enthusiasm. I think you guys would be perfect to help out in classes." Now, going back to understanding the right place for them, these guys fit brilliantly into our, what we call our Ninjaroo programs, which are our 3 to 5 year olds. And they're actually nicknamed Nana Janet, which is the 64-year-old, and obviously, you know, Grandpa Santiago, which their role is not going to be the lead instructor, but they're really great people to be able to get the shy kids off the floor, or to be able to just keep the kids in line, especially for those of you guys who do have programs that run sort of, you know, 3 to 5s of those littlies. You know how challenging it can be. So having that, I guess, that comfortable person there with life experience, not only to help the kids, but parents feel comfortable with too, is phenomenal. Would I put them in a kickboxing class and an adults class? Definitely not. But I know the role that they will blossom in and how good they're going to be there. So again, plant that seed early, and you'll actually surprise yourself what you get from that. So, you know, when we talk about our instructor team as world class, we have a range of belt levels. Think about the colors in the rainbow. You know, not all one color, not all one fit. We have some really kind of dynamite young 25-year-old guys who can, you know, teach Muay Thai classes like the world's best. We've also got some older people who can really partake some great knowledge onto some of the younger guys. And again, depending on the right fit in the class, because when you teach an adults class and you've got a 20-year-old who's enthusiastic, but trying to then teach life skills and character development to an older person, it may not always fit. Hey, not saying it can't, but it may not always fit. But if you double them up, so you've got an older person to do the character development aspect and the younger guy to bring some enthusiasm, some energy, you got that dynamic duo. So again, team, goes back to plant that seed early, cast the wide net, and again, hire on attitude. Now, these guys that I mentioned, the 64 and 65-year-old, they're just volunteers. They're not paid at this stage, and they're just happy to help out once or twice a week. So again, vital in your school.
All right, cool. So there's sort of like the few type of mindsets that you need to be able to find your instructors. It's there's nothing really technical about it. It's just doing these few things and opening your mind to the possibilities. Because myself and Graham have now kicked on. How many years have we had this business?
7 years as Waymer.
We just had our birthday, October, for 7 years. Now, we were in every single one of those classes, and we were back to back, and we were doing everything. You know, we were running around like a blue ass, you know what, which is what you have to do, and you're happy to do that. But there does come a time where enough's enough, you know, where you want to do more for your students, you want to do more for your business, and you can't do that when you're on the floor. So, you know, it took a little while for us to get to the position we are now, but just so you guys know, you got to begin with the end in mind. And I'm seeing some great little comments here about how many instructors you need to be able to do what you want to do in your business. And that's an important number that you need to know. And we do that all the time with our classes, with our all the students that we have. We want to know exactly who we need, how many we need, so that we can do what we want. Now, myself and Graham are in a position where, you know, we pretty much just come to the come down to the clubs and do meetings, and then when we feel like putting on a gi to teach, we do that. And that's a great position to be in. You know, to be able to want to do classes, not have to do classes. And I'll tell you right now, our school has grown so much more now that we've had the ability to work on our business. So what I'm getting at is it's a long road. It's not short. You can't just make it happen in 6 months or 12 months, but it has to start now. You have to start now with a 1, a 2, a 3-year goal. And, you know, then you'll be looking back later on after a couple of years' time going, I'm so glad I started now. Because if you don't start now, what's going to happen if you don't start now? What's going to happen if you start next year or the year after? These are the things you have to think about. So that's all about finding your instructors, because you know in the end, you want to be able to be at home with your family. You want to be on the beach, you know, creating and inventing and training. Get back to training. One of the things we do as instructors is business owners, we don't train as much as we would like.
Guys, just to give you an idea of numbers before we actually go through the nuts and bolts of this sort of webinar is, you know, I think as of January next year, because we're only you know, a month or two away from that, we will be pretty much close to having 70 paid instructors. That'll be about 20 full-time, and then obviously the rest are casual or part-time. In saying that too, there's always an army of volunteers that are on their instructor program. So out of this 70-odd staff members, we also have with each school probably about 30 to 50 volunteer instructors training constantly, because, you know, you've got to have the understanding that, hey, if someone happens to leave, it's a bad thing, but you also want to make sure you've got the right number of team to be able to step in and replace it if it's so be. And we've also found that, geez, we've got some really great guys who are so motivated. No one's leaving because they love the place. Well, what happens next? And what a great problem to have is having great people there to then sort of facilitate your growth, whether you want to expand or, again, grow your team so they're managing more classes on your behalf and you're not having to be in there as much. So, again, Phil said it brilliantly. Begin with the end in mind, guys, and understand where you want to be in 1 year, 2, 3, 5, wherever it may be.
All right, so let's go into, so remember, you've now hired some people on their attitude. You've got this influx. You've probably got more people than what you probably thought that you had. You're growing them. You're casting the wide net. You're looking at multiple belt levels. You're planting the seed early, which means going around, putting their hand on their shoulder and saying, hey, have you ever thought about instructing? You know what? They'll come back to you and say, you know, what you said there really struck something with me. So next thing we're going is, now you've got them. How do you grow them? How do you teach them? How do you train them? How do you get them to that point where you can sit back on the chairs and talk to the parents, and then be in the office, and then not even be there on a particular day? So the first thing is regular and consistent training. You need to provide this all the time, because what happens is exactly the same thing as when you stop training in martial arts. What happens? You lose your skill and ability. You might get a bit fatter and a bit unfit. And the same thing happens with your staff. If you're not regularly and consistently training them, both as an instructor and as a student, they're going to fizzle. They're going to fade out. Not everyone has the same motivation as you do, So you need to breed that through this consistency of training.
Guys, look, we know, and being in the industry that we are, martial arts, you guys know that if you want to build muscle, you've got to work it out consistently. And if you let it go, it gets sloppy, and equally the same thing's going to happen with your instructor team. So for us, we are every 3 months, we run a instructor course. And what it does is obviously you've got a level 1, level 2, level 3 instructor course. Then obviously they move further from there. They go into the martial arts university. We have the instructor diploma after that. There's trainee programs. There's so many other avenues for our team that can obviously jump in and jump on board. But again, it's that consistency. So when we plan them out, we obviously know when these courses are going to run, how they're going to go. Will some people continue on to the next course? Maybe, maybe not. But at least then we know who's there and what we're actually doing. So staying consistent.
Cool. Next one, we're looking at having multiple levels that you need to have to keep them motivated.
All right, cool. So, we've got a couple of questions that come through here just quickly before I move on. Robbie, you asked, what's the youngest instructor you would take? We have a program called Pad Pals, and that's sort of 8 years old. They're never going to be a lead instructor. They're just there as a helper in class. And really that's what it's about. Moving from there, which will probably be covered in these levels here for you, it's understanding at what role. So between 8 and 10 is our Pad Pals. So if you guys look at this model Phil's put up there, they're kind of like your little guys down the bottom. Your Pad Pals are your fundamentals. Their role in class is to be a good finder. Being there to smile, be happy, just help out with being that partner of the other kid is, there's not enough in the group, or just run and grab the equipment and make sure it's all ready to go for when you are obviously doing that particular drill. We then obviously have from there onwards, we have obviously instructors levels, which are level 1, level 2, level 3. Again, really important that they're structured so that level 1 is just all about moving through a class, being able to, maybe make some improvements to a student standard, but they're never going to be a lead person taking the group, okay? They may take a little bit of a game at the end as they develop their skills, but generally they're just there as a filler. Level 2 and level 3, obviously they get an opportunity to gain more responsibility in a class. Now, when you're talking about a parent and they're looking, going, well, is a kid teaching a kid? Definitely not. And that's not how we do things. We pre-frame to all our parents in the classes that when a student is taking a drill or taking a game, it's for their education. And what a great way to have a role model that is a junior, someone to look up to. And that's really important to make sure that you don't just use your assistants and just sort of set, forget. It's really important to be there and motivate, but also give them feedback once they've completed their stuff. Moving upwards of that, guys, we've got, obviously level 1, 2, and 3. Then talking about the instructor university. This is one that we have that our adults generally slip into first off. It's a little bit more adult focused, a little bit more direct, but also for any of the junior guys who've completed levels 1, 2, and 3, they get an opportunity to jump into that program. So it gives them, again, some extra progression. As you can imagine, the way you talk to an adult would be different to how you talk to a 10 or a 12-year-old. So only do they get an opportunity to join that group once they've completed satisfactorily like levels 1, 2, and 3. And obviously even that still is then dependent on the individual themselves too.
Cool. So I don't know if anyone else is having any connection issues. Just had someone drop off the webinar by accident. So just give us a shout out, guys. Just want to make sure you're still all here and your connection's okay. If it ever does do that, because it does happen from time to time, whether it's our connection or your connection, just log off and back on again. And usually you can rock and roll again, but just let us know how you go. But moving forward, just so you can see our particular structure at our school. So the Weimar leadership levels, we start them off at level 1. You'll see level 1 down there on the bottom left. And level 1 is, all your basic stuff, real simple things that you would teach them. Pad Pals is in there at this moment. There's some people in there helping. They're really learning a lot about your characterisms, personal touch, all sorts of stuff, how to act, how to tie belts, how to high five, how to hold pads, all that sort of stuff. Then moving on to level 2, these guys get a little bit more teeth into a few more activities where they might take a game or something like that. So they have to put together some sort of format or start helping other people in a different level. Level 3 is where our sort of juniors, so all our juniors must go through level 1, level 2, level 3 up to there. And level 3, these guys here are our sort of older junior level guys, so they're all in their teens. And these guys are quite capable of taking a group of kids to the side, like a grading preparation group, or they could take a warm-up, or for whatever reason, let's just say hypothetically, a parent was signaling to the main instructor, quick, come out. A level 3 instructor could just zone straight in, take over the lesson plan, and continue class so seamlessly like it was meant to happen. So that's the progression of them. Our instructor university is predominantly for adults, but usually what we find is level 3 guys, once they've finished that, they'll jump into university level as well. The instructor university has all level 1, level 2, 3 in it, adult-related requirement sort of teaching, and it's done a little bit more interactively. It's done in a group. There are some online things that we do, etc., etc. And then anyone who completes the instructor university can go on to diploma. And what is the diploma? Well, it's us identifying their strengths. So sometimes maybe someone isn't really going to be a great instructor, but they might be really good behind the desk. They could be a great program director. They could be good at some admin stuff behind the desk. They could be a fantastic instructor. So that's where we really identify their skills and strong points, and we actually put them in a bit of a traineeship for 3 to 6 months, depending on how old they are or what they want to do, specifically in a role to see if they like it. This is a really good way to sift. This is a sifting process of putting them through all the things that we require as a person to be able to be out there on the floor or behind the counter.
Guys, just to add into this, you'll see that the way that we've structured things is so that it flows. The instructor diploma, what you'd have afterwards would be obviously a manager, a school manager or whatnot. So, they need to be able to understand about sales. They need to be able to do administration. They need to obviously be able to teach. But once they've sort of covered those areas, you really will find that, you've groomed them to be a really well-rounded leader that potentially could run your school for you. And really, it's just a step-by-step. Now, just to make sure that we clarify this, myself and Phil have traveled extensively all over the world, learning from phenomenal martial arts instructors. What we've done, though, with our programs is we've taken little bits from all over the place, our own experiences, and basically created this for the Australian market because, America has got some awesome stuff going on, but we also have some skills that don't always integrate so seamlessly. So we really have done our very best to make sure our stuff is, practical. It's still engaging. It's still fun, but it's not that over-the-top American style system, because at the end of the day, we've got to make sure, we're here to teach great classes, but we also want to make sure that we have our assistants and instructors, they're making people feel wow without feeling them, making them feel like they're, in a circus. So really important just to sort of highlight that stuff.
Awesome, guys. So yeah, hey, if you've got any comments or questions or things you want us to answer during the webinar, just send them through. We've got one through from Chris saying, do we have a minimum start age for the university? Well, if they've gone through level 1, level 2, level 3, they should be sort of mid-teens, and we would look at them at mid-teen level, I would say. Again, instructor university doesn't mean they're going to be just taking full classes at all, because you've got to remember there's adults in there that might be orange belts or yellow belts who might do a great job. Could these guys then potentially at yellow belt, orange belt, redo the course at a higher level? Absolutely. Or like we said, if you might be an orange belt or yellow belt and you just got the personality, you can't quite teach any classes yet because you don't have the belt level, but you know what, we need you behind the counter. You need to start learning the ins and outs of the running of the business, so that when they are able to go out on the floor, they have a very, very deep understanding of the business itself. So shoot through any comments, guys, so we can make sure we answer and give you guys exactly what you want. But let's move on to another point. It's about noticeable growth within themselves, both as a student and as an instructor. I think I mentioned it before because, I think we've all suffered this, and you probably have too. It's been our point as well, is that when your bum's on the line and you're working your ass off so much, your training does go to the wayside, and then you lose motivation. I literally just had a chat recently about one of my managers. He said, I'm just losing a bit of motivation. He's a second degree going for a third degree. There's 3 years to wait, and really there's not a lot to learn for that grading. So he's like, feels like he's floundering a little bit. So you've got to have these chats, the motivational chats. You've got to be able to give them direction of how you overcame that yourself. What did you do? What can you then provide for him so he feels like he's learning and growing? Because the last thing you want is your instructors to stop training and learning and growing. Because if they're not learning, if they're not motivated, how can they motivate your students? Also, as instructor training, I think we've mentioned before in another webinar, we do weekly managers meetings. So we've got one straight after this webinar with our managers of our school. Then we have monthly full-time instructors meetings once a month. So we have that all in at our big school. It's like a big conference. That's how many of them we got these days. We also have 3 monthly sort of managers meetings with budgets and stuff like that. We also do the 3-month all instructors, that's unpaid and paid, anyone and everyone who wears a blue gi top, which means you're in an instructor program. We do a meeting there where we go over skills requirements, we go over character traits and all that sort of stuff. We're really trying to provide these guys, because these guys are the people who you need to rely on to do what you need to do in your business.
Hey guys, just to add in on that, I took the last 3 monthly sort of all-in instructor training, and actually we did a workout for them. Without sort of making anyone feel bad, there was a few guys who actually probably neglected their own personal training and therefore found it a little bit challenging to keep up the group. So, we had probably 5 or 6 people sit out of the class for moments because they were just fatigued, obviously rejoin back in once they sort of got the breath back, but it made them have a good, strong look in the mirror that, goodness, if I'm presenting myself as a leader, I better make sure that I'm also doing what I can to maintain my standards. Because, hey, look, if someone can't teach a skill well, or if someone can't necessarily demonstrate a skill well, it's obviously going to roll downhill from there. So it's important to make sure you stay focused, but also keep your team accountable as well too.
Cool. We've got another good comment here from Craig. We know Craig, he's down over the WA way, so he runs specific training for his SWAT guys once a fortnight for 45 minutes. You guys can probably see the comment there. Look, asking too much from him. What we do is when we have 3-month blocks, so you've got to give them a bit of a break as well. So generally they would break over school holidays from your instructor training. So you got to do a 3-month block of training and then give them a break. During that 3 months, they will be required to do instructor training once a week in class, so in an instructor training class. We've also got our online training, which we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about soon. So our online portal where they can see and do quizzes and tests. It's really cool. We'll talk about that later anyway. And then, we have that break after 3 months. They all graduate from their levels or whatever it may be, and then they're invited back if they get invited back for the next 3-month block, where they then will be working on level 2, level 3, or whatever level they may be. So I don't know if you're asking too much. Obviously, if it's not working the way you want it to do, I would say it's not working for some reason. So you need to test and trial something. I don't know if you have a break or not, but I think for us, we've just worked out this process. It works really well for us. 3-month blocks. You're committing to learning as an instructor once a week, and you also are required to help and teach and be a part of at least one class that week. So I suppose you've got your training classes, then you got your learning class, and then you got your helping classes as well. So, it's a fair big commitment for these guys, but the reward at the end is amazing.
All right. So let's keep moving, keep firing the questions, guys, which is great. All right. Now this one's a doozy. Okay. It was not so long ago I was at this great business conference, and they mentioned something, and I've said this in our previous podcast: innovate or die. And the industry is changing, not necessarily the technical skills, and as we all know, we've had to evolve, but the way that people are learning nowadays. Gone are the days of the older, paper and pen, and look, they're still very effective. But to have a tool that complements, the way that young people are learning nowadays is vitally important, because, for some of the older generation that may be on the webinar here, there can be quite a nerve-wracking and daunting process to think, well, I don't know anything about it. So how am I going to do that? Social media, many years ago, people were like, oh, you don't do social media for a martial arts school, yet now it's almost a common thing to have a Facebook page or something else linked to your martial arts school. Now, we are living in the information age, most definitely. For us, we actually have a brilliant portal that we use on so many different levels. And I guess this is something that we use for not only our instructor training, our students have access to this for their own personal training. And from a manager's or a business owner's perspective, everything inside your head, your IP or your systems, basically gets put onto your own portal so that your staff then know exactly how to do processing of agreements or how to answer the phone properly or whatever the system may be that you have. So it was a few years ago that myself and Phil reached a point where we were like, well, how do we clone ourselves? You know, there's two of us, and for a lot of you guys, you're the one-man band. So how do you take what's in your head, share that with somebody else, and make sure they're consistently doing the same standard? And I say that word often and over, consistency, because running 3 schools now with, you know, as I mentioned before, we'll be up around that 70 staff mark before we know it. How do we make sure the old Chinese whispers don't kick in and then suddenly you turn around, a process is completely different from the way that we very first set it out to be? So on this here, we've got obviously the martial arts university. It's a pretty amazing thing. But again, we'll focus more on the instructor training side of things at this stage.
So as we mentioned before, we've got the, Graham mentioned about the back end for the school owner, for the managers and lots of stuff. But what we have is that front end as well. So if you were a student here at Martial Arts with us, you would get access to our online training portal, and it has all your requirements, everything you would ever need, except for an actual physical instructor, to be able to learn your skills on your iPhone, tablet, computer, wherever it may be. So there's many benefits from that. I'm not going to go into it because it's going off course a little bit. But what we have done is then provide our instructors that same sort of experience for them to learn. So anything and everything that we would do within that sort of 3-month instructor training program is all online. And there's videos, there's slideshows, there's quizzes, there's tests, which we all get. They get certificates, we get notifications who's done what. So really we can definitely, it's that whole sifting process that we talked about before. We know who's logged on, who hasn't, who's done the course, who hasn't, all these sort of things, and it's a requirement. So we put all the skills, so they come in, they do their instructor class in person with just the instructors. They will then be asked to go on the online training portal at some point within that week to go and do their weekly test or revision or check some skills out, download a instructor check sheet or whatever, and then they'll come in and do their classes and then repeat again. So it's just that extra way that they're getting this learning, because we all know that everyone learns with different senses. Some people will be learning very well in class and paying attention. Some need to get in there and just fail and trip over and do mistakes in class. Some want to sit back on their computer screen and iPhone or whatever and look at it and specifically take it apart so that they can nail it as well. So I've just got a screenshot on my next slide here of what the leadership level 1 would look like. If you're a student and you went in there, you would see these sort of modules down here. So we've got module 1, module 2, you've got all sorts of things down there. Let's see if we can play that video. It's coming down here. So instructing skills, as we talked about, there's a lot of character development stuff at that level 1 position. So respect, self-discipline and focus, building confidence and self-esteem, goal setting, how to correct students. So there's a whole, each one of these lessons have a whole deep embedded structure. Instructing skills, there's massive amount of stuff in there as well. So just to give you a bit of an idea of what a student would see when they logged in, they would be asked to go through this and they could check out all these things and do the quiz and stuff.
Guys, what's really cool about this too is this is more so from a student's perspective. What we've done through, with our team here is actually created one from the instructor's point of view. So having a lesson plan of what you're actually going to be teaching, what it is that you're going to go through and cover. So, the students will see the skills, but they won't necessarily see that as a detailed lesson plan. Obviously, they're still going to have that weekly focus. And this doesn't take away from that live training. It definitely makes sure that it just complements what it is that you're trying to portray. I'm just really trying to make sure that we give people the best possible chance of absorbing this information. And again, going back to that consistency. So as a lead instructor or a school owner, let's say you had to step away for a couple of weeks, you're ill, and someone had to take your class. Well, this is a great way to make sure that that doesn't get, you know, I guess completely ruined because someone has taught the class but in a completely different way. So for us, it was just taking it to the next level, because really what we want to try and do is continually give our students the best possible training out there, the best possible experience. And how good is it going to be to have an army of instructors that you're creating that are all consistent and really great people to be around. Therefore, too, the way that we train them, they get to affect their community, their own personal lives in a great way. So that's something that we're really sort of driven and motivated behind, which is cool.
Yeah, cool, guys. So, look, got a couple of questions before we move on so we don't get ahead of ourselves. So, Christian asked, do we have separate instructor training sessions? Yes, we do. So, most of the guys kick on their employment here at midday, but as a requirement, we ask them to train twice a week with us. So, on Mondays and Wednesdays, we open up the floor. So, all our managers and full-time instructors, they come and train with us from 10 till 12. And we get to spar, wrestle, weapons, fitness, whatever. So Mondays, myself and Graham run the training sessions, and then on Wednesdays, we rotate it. So we let the managers or full-time instructors teach a class or run a instructor training class that they would like to do. So that way we can sit back and see how they're going and see what their enthusiasm is like. So absolutely important. If we used to do the whole, if you're a full-time employee, these are your work hours, then, you're allowed to train in this class so you can train with the black belts. And it just became really, really hard. Although there are benefits to that, them being in a class of black belts and training with them, well, what happens also is now you still have to go back and teach that class. So we've just structured in a way that it's outside of work hours. Me and Graham are there. They get access to us, and it works really, really well. We get to sort of close the doors and ensure that our instructors train way harder than our students. Jonathan, you had one, was how long is the break? So as we said, 3 months training each blocks, and then they break during school holidays. So that's a 2-week break.
Yep.
Before we kick on again. Just gives them a bit of a brain break.
Just in that, guys, look, we've got a 3-month course. It doesn't mean that it has to be 4 courses in a whole year. It's spaced out. It will overlap, and sometimes logistically you'll go, well, it needs to be a month break during the Christmas holidays because of the way that students are away, they're on holiday. So we'll start that when school goes back. So that's for you guys to obviously work that around what's going to be the best, but we generally have the course that run for 12 weeks or 3 months in completion.
Cool. So another good question, Christian. We'll get to you about who developed our portal in a minute, because we do have something for you guys if you guys are interested. But a lot of hard work, a lot of pain, a lot of tears, a lot of time goes into creating something that's online for you guys. It is a fair bit of work. The reward at the end is great. But what we try to do is give you guys opportunities to utilize the stuff that we have as well. So we've been able to do, as we said, it's very generic based training. So if it was being taught at a Muay Thai school or a karate school or Taekwondo school, doesn't really matter. So look, to give you guys a bit of an idea of what we've got for you guys. So the Martial Arts University is created by the learning specialist. Now, this guy is a martial artist. He's one of our students. He's a tech guru, nerd guy that just loves this stuff. We are way above, he's way above our pay grade on that end, but he just loves martial arts. And we've worked tirelessly with him to put together the martialarts.university, which is a place where people like yourselves can go and purchase sort of short courses and check out what's in there. Now, the TIMA, the Institute of Martial Arts, that's for you school owners who want to get a heap of information about how we run our school. The Martial Arts University is this sort of separate thing, which is all sort of short courses which you can purchase as well. So to give you a bit of an idea of what we've got on offer for you guys, if you so choose. Now, all this is to give you an opportunity, because what we do get a lot of is people asking, well, can we see it? Can we take a look at it? Can we implement it in our school? Well, of course you can, but we want to make sure that you get set up the best you can. So what we're willing to do for you guys who attended the webinar, is give you guys 6 months access to our level 1 online training program. So, I mean, potentially you could run 2-3 month courses on that, get everyone up to a level 1 level that we would use at our Weymouth schools as well. We'll also, for that, because there's a bit of setup and on your end to make sure that you're understanding what goes on, we'll do a 190-minute Skype call setup. Make sure you're all happy in how to run that out and roll it out. We'll check in with you guys a few times via Skype calls to make sure you're on track, etc. And obviously unlimited emails and stuff like that. It's about giving a program. So if you're interested in checking out the online portal at level 1, all we're asking you guys is your investment is $4.99, and you guys get 6 months access to that. What would happen after that? Well, it's really up to you. We can then open the doors up and give you guys access to level 1, 2, 3, 4, all sorts of stuff. Like it's endless and limitless. But I really just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to take a look at it, be a part of it, possibly get some students across the line at level 1 level, and then really leave the ball in your court.
Guys, it's our drive at TIMA and what we do is to really help business owners and school owners live the life they really want. And that's not a corny sales pitch, because we get to travel the world now. We've got a phenomenal chance next year. We're speaking in America, and we're going to take our entire family across for a month and do a road trip from LA to Florida where we're speaking, just simply because we can. And that's only because we've systemized our schools so much that we love to continually grow ourselves. Now, we will visit every school on the way through, but it's all about setting yourself up in the right way and not just doing what you used to do, because, if you've always done what you always did, you always get the same sort of results. So time to change things up a little bit. But, a little bit back to you guys with TIMA, each and every fortnight, guys, or each and every week, we're producing podcasts and blogs, a stack of stuff here. So we want your feedback, because at the end of the day, it's all about you guys. We can only give you what we think and our experiences, but we also want to make sure that we know what your challenges are and how we can best serve you. Obviously, all that stuff is just free, guys. It's just getting it in there, as Phil's obviously got the screen going down. Podcasts there. You guys get a chance to obviously log in, check all of them out. They're free, great one for putting on in your car or when you're doing a workout, or there's some written blogs that you may want to share with your team, your instructors, your managers. So again, guys, it's tools there available. You've just got to reach up and grab them and actually, apply them.
Yeah, so like I said, guys, we just really relaunched our new look website. So if you hadn't been over to our TIMA website, tima.com.au, check it out. And if you haven't subscribed to get the newsletter, blogs, and podcasts, do that. I know you've all subscribed to the webinar. Some of you guys are on our list already, which is fantastic. But you know what? There's nothing better for putting on your car a podcast, listening to someone else who's doing it right, and even sharing that stuff with your staff as well, which is really, really cool. So as I said, what we're going to do now is we've got 15 minutes or say 10 minutes left of the hour-long webinar that we've done with you guys. Really open it up to you guys. If you are interested in the Martial Arts University, what we'll do is we'll open up our little screen here so we can see you guys. Where are we? Let's put you guys back here. There we go. We're back there, back on. If you are interested in learning more about the online training portal, go to our website, shoot us through an email, and just let us know if you're interested in getting in there. We got it. In there. So just go to our website or email me or Graham and just tell us that you're interested. Say, I was on the webinar and I'm interested in the learning portal. If you have any questions, guys, we're online for about 5 or 10 minutes and we'll just keep rattling out anything you want to know, whether it's instructor related or anything with your school. If you're bailing out of the webinar, just let us know, guys. Just say, see you guys on the comments, and we'll see you next webinar. Awesome. If you've got any topics that you want us covered in a next webinar, blog, or podcast, send them through here, guys. This is where we get the information to give you exactly what you wanted, like Graham mentioned too. So shoot, guys, we're here for you.
Awesome. So again, team, it's rubber meets the road, and I guess we just want to help you to kick all the goals that you're wanting to achieve and more. And it's not about the money, but goodness, guys, it's about providing the best possible career for not only yourselves, but your team, and have them really want to sort of be on board and stay with you guys, which is what it's all about, but also live the lifestyle that you deserve, because I guarantee we've all worked extremely hard and put a lot of time and money and blood, sweat, and tears into your training and your discipline. So how about now you get the rewards to go with as well too, guys?
Did I mention that we weren't tech savvy? I just realized that we had a button that we could press that would take you straight to our website. So you'll see on the webinar there a TIMA online instructor program. If you just press get it now, that'll take you to our website where you can just type in some information about all that sort of stuff. So guys, it's been fantastic. I love sharing everything that we've got to offer. That's sort of the position that we're in right now, is being able to just share what we've learned. We learn from learning from you. So if you have anything you want us to work on or nut out for you, please send through some comments or emails and we're happy to help out.
Most definitely, guys. So, I did mention before at the very, very start, if you guys I haven't had a chance to obviously chat with you guys, but chuck your lovely face with some comments on Facebook, guys. Get up there, share that stuff, because obviously that's another great way to log in and stay up to date with what's happening with us. So, it's all about social presence, team, and we'd love to hear from you and know that you enjoyed yourself today. So get on there, team, post a photo of yourself or, just a thumbs up if you enjoyed, obviously, today's event. So all good, team. Fire those questions through.
Hey, as you know, we've got a staff meeting coming up straight after this, which is really cool because we're going to sit down with all our managers. So we've got Brianna and Andrew, who are managers at our large school. Our large school has over 800. I think we're about
nearly 900.
Nearly 900. Last time I checked, it was 800. We have Currumbine, which kicks over 400 now. And we've got Maria, as Graham mentioned, who's nearly at 300 in just like 15 months, which is cool. So as our model, this is our model. Our model is if you reach around 400 members, you should have 3 full-time staff. 3 full-time staff should run 400 members. Now, obviously, you'll have your part-time assistants. Generally, most of them are all juniors. You'll have a couple of adults in there as well. But our model, just so you guys know, I don't know if you guys maybe compare that, if that's lean or too many or whatever it may be, just let us know. But basically, 3 full-time instructors is what we run our 400 sort of model on. Awesome.
Cool. What do you got there, Chris? You said I try to subscribe to team.com.au and go this message confirmation to your subscription. Any challenges there, just let us know. So, guys, feel free if you've got anyone in the industry as well too, guys, that would benefit from listening into this sort of stuff, let them know, share it around, because really that's what it's about, I believe success is only success when it's shared, and being fulfilled in life is what comes in so many different formats. So be able to give back to you guys and see some, some positive changes, hopefully some positive feedback, which is what it's all about.
Awesome, cool. Thanks, Christian, mate. Have a nice lunch, mate, with your team before you're probably kicking into classes. Brad, the name of our school. So branding is another big part of what we want to work on too with our school. So our brand is the WA Institute of Martial Arts. You'll see up here, WAMA. So everything has some sort of like acronym or tagline to it. So WAMA is the WA Institute of Martial Arts. Our business coaching and consulting company is called TIMA, the Institute of Martial Arts. We also have another company, what we call IDS, International Defensive Solutions, where we provide core, basic, reality-based self-defense to government agencies, law enforcement, the SAS, flight attendants, all sorts of stuff within the community. So we have that business there. And we do obviously a lot of speaking and stuff on stage. So we've never been able to do this without the core development of our business. If we were still in the engine room, we wouldn't be doing these other things, that's for sure.
Definitely. So, if that's not proof to sort of give you guys that motivation to not only, love your business, but also have the freedom to be able to move around and maybe try a few other things that may not necessarily bring tons of money to the door, but they give you that extra fulfillment and joy as well too, which is really speaking to a lot of business owners in our industry. They've burnt themselves out, they've got tired because unfortunately they still have to work a full-time job and still work at their martial arts school, or they're just full-time in their school and they just don't see any light or any way to, remove themselves. And these are guys that have sometimes been in it for, decades as well too. So all of our information to you guys, team, is stuff that we're actually doing, and hopefully give you guys the opportunity to kick some phenomenal goals in the future.
Got one from Craig saying, does the TIMA have instructor education, or is it just instructor education, or does it have skills like development for drills and classes? Well, in actual fact, in the gold level, we give you all our lesson plans. We give you all our curriculum. So is it all that? Yeah, it's how to systemize your business. You can then tweak it and change it to make it your own, compared to different styles. It's like a right punch is a right punch, right? But maybe a self-defense skill might be changed out with something else. So within there are games and drills and stuff that we all use in our school and all that sort of stuff. So yes, it is a bit of both. It's probably more how you would run your martial arts business in its whole, which includes class plans, lesson plans, games, drills, all that sort of stuff. So the answer is yes and yes.
Thanks, Craig. Good on you, mate. So again, guys, we've got 3 minutes left. Okay, 3-minute countdown for us here before we have to shoot into our next meeting. So whatever else you got, guys, I know we've still got a few attendees on there. Fire away, because again, at the end of the day, team, we are right behind you guys. I want to see you succeed in every aspect of your training. So we're at your disposal.
If you have any questions about that online stuff, guys, like I said, we're happy to help you guys out. If it's not the right time for you guys for that, just shoot us an email, because we're happy to help anyway. If you have a question, whatever it may be, shoot it through, guys. But what we'll do, I think we're going to wrap things up in about a minute. So just for any further podcast, blogs, guys, please, I want to give you what you want. So send it through the comments here, or send us an email of tell me what you want to hear or see, and we'll be happy to provide that for you.
Cool. So, great to see, Brad. You said you hit 300 students last week. Need to get off the floor, mate. Awesome. I think that's for you to hit those goals of, potentially growing your school. If that's where you want to head, you're going to be best served not in the engine room. So that's the idea, to make sure that we are giving you the tools to get you off the floor, but have no issues with your classes. And that's key. So, mate, keep firing away, dude. And we'll happily help with that. Jonathan, you said, has your school grown during the brand spacing, due to doing brand spacing? There's not just one area that we have just rely on. Brand spacing for us, and yes, is the shopping centre displays, which we've discussed in previous podcasts and also blogs and stuff. It helps, but there's about 16 different sort of pokers you may have in the fire. So, some will fire some months and some will not. So having more in there that you can track and manage is definitely going to help you, rather than just be relying on one. But it has been a big factor in us growing to that sort of level, having those leads, which is what it's all about. And Chris, mate, thanks. Yeah, look, we'd love to talk, mate. Love to talk, and can't wait to obviously venture over to Sydney and come visit again, mate. It would be great. So, thanks for joining us today, and I look forward to obviously staying in contact for the next webinar and the next stuff that we're doing. So.
All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap. We've got to get to our staff meeting. So thank you very much for joining us. We are here for you. So as we said, just keep firing through the conversation, guys, the questions, whatever it may be. Subscribe to the website so that you can get those podcasts and blogs and all that sort of stuff. If you have any information or want any information on the online training portal or becoming a member of TIMA, just let us know, guys. We're happy to help.
Hey, just to add to that, guys, because I know a few people are getting this recorded. We are coming over the East Coast next year, and we're going to be running an event for you guys, actually live, so to get your hands in and create some stuff. So stay tuned with that, team. We can't wait to obviously share with you live and meet you guys face to face. So see you guys soon.
Ciao, guys.